Hello everyone, my name is Voodoo and welcome to my Havoc Demon Hunter guide for Dragonflight patch 10.1. In this video, I'll be going over the talents, rotation, stats, gear, consumables, and more that you need to know to have the most damage output as your Havoc Demon Hunter in patch 10.1 of Dragonflight. Before we get to the guide, videos like this take me a lot of time and effort to make, so if you enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment on the video to help spread it to more people on YouTube, and of course, hit the sub button if you really appreciate it. Help my channel grow, there'll be tons of WoW content in the future. Now, enjoy the video. So first, what's changed for Havoc Demon Hunter going into patch 10.1? Well, at the end of the patch 10.1 PTR cycle, Demon Hunter actually received a few changes and buffs, namely to two talents, Accelerated Blade and Serrated Glaive. Serrated Glaive now causes enemies hit by Throw Glaive to take 20% increased damage from Chaos Strike and I-Beam, as well as having its duration increased to 15 seconds. Accelerated Blade now has been changed as well to cause Throw Glaive to deal 60% increased damage to its primary target and dropping off by 30% for each target hit, changed from it being 20% for each target it's bounced to, basically making it a better priority and cleave tool. There also was some class tuning done where Demon's Bite, Demon's Blades, Fell Blade, and Chaos Strike have all been increased by 8%, and they fixed the bug that prevented Chaos Theory from giving its bonus crit chance to the offhand hit of Chaos Strike and Annihilation. Havoc Demon Hunter is also receiving a brand new tier set with 10.1. The 2 set is every 175 Fury you spend, you gain Seething Fury, which increases your agility by 8% for 6 seconds, and the 4 set is that each time you gain Seething Fury, you gain 15 Fury, and the damage of your next I-Beam is increased by 15%, stacking 5 times. In combination, the buffs and the tier set do allow us to explore a brand new build option for pure single target. So we're going to move on to talents next and give you guys the talent builds to get the most out of your Havoc Demon Hunter. Thanks to the brand new tier set as well as the talent changes, this is going to be our new single target build in every single target scenario. The changes to Serrated Glaive make it a very strong option now, as well as allowing us to come down and grab Relentless Onslaught, a very powerful talent that we did not have access to before. This build is enabled by the 4 set as it allows us to have enough Fury to drop Demonic Appetite and pick up talents such as Looks Can Kill. To get down into Serrated Glaive and Relentless Onslaught, we have dropped out 1 point from Blind Fury, as well as a point from Restless Hunter. This build has slightly less burst because we don't have the Restless Hunter buff on our meta, and we also lose the tier set from Season 1. However, overall, it does output much more single target damage than before. In AOE such as Mythic Plus or in Cleave in Raid, then this is the build you'll be going for. This build offers very powerful 1 to 2 target as well as large target AOE, thanks in part to Rage Fire, as well as Accelerated Blade and Soul Rend. Rounding it off, we have any means necessary, really amping up the damage of our Immolation Aura, especially with Growing Inferno, which all leads back into Rage Fire. The changes to Accelerated Blade makes this build a lot better on 2 targets or 1 target. So there's situations like a dungeon boss in Mythic Plus or a 2 target Cleave raid boss, you're going to end up doing a lot of damage with your Glaives and with your Soul Rend. We also have powerful talents here, such as Know Your Enemy and Essence Break, which is the cornerstone of the Havoc Demon Hunter rotation. We take 1 point in Blind Fury now because of our tier set ramping our I-Beam damage. As well, we get some nice Fury out of it for our Essence Break combo. If you as a player despise the movement-based talents here, then this is the no mover build. This build is only for pure single target and is behind the other builds, and you do still have to move, as Fell Rush is your best Fury generator thanks to Isolated Prey. However, the movement is a lot less and much less frequent, requiring you just to use Fell Rush whenever you need Fury. Now, again, I do want to stress this build is behind the other single target builds and is absolutely atrocious in AoE or Cleave. If you want to do AoE in Mythic Plus, there are really no options to avoid the movement talents and still do viable and competitive damage. Of course, you can play this in Mythic Plus and do very fine with it, but as you push higher into keys, you do want to start getting comfortable with the momentum build. With the single target build, your opener will be as follows. Start off with Sigil of Flame 2 seconds before the pull, then use Immolation Aura as you enter combat, Fell Rush, and then use the Hunt. After that, throw out a Glaive, and then push I-Beam. After the I-Beam, use 1 Annihilation, turn 180, use Vengeful Retreat, and Essence Break, then use Death Sweep, use Meta again, follow with another Death Sweep, and then another Annihilation. From there, use I-Beam. and then another Annihilation. At this point, you're basically just going to be using Death Sweep on cooldown and filling with as many Annihilations as possible, only using Fel Rush, Fel Blade, and Immolation Aura whenever you run out of Fury. In terms of throwing your Glaives out, you want to throw it out right before I-Beam or to cleave down your demon, otherwise you basically are just ignoring that talent. In terms of momentum, you just want to make sure you have it up before any of your big damaging moments, such as Death Sweep or I-Beam. So we hit this point here, I have I-Beam up, I'm going to throw out my Glaive, I'm going to momentum, and then I-Beam buff. And boom, that's basically all the complexities to the Havoc Demon Hunter rotation in single target. In terms of AoE, your rotation will be generally the same. However, you do have to keep in mind your Immolation Aura uptime as well as your Throw Glaives, as your Throw Glaives are the best spender you have outside of Blade Dance. So to start, we'll go with Sigil Flame pre-pull again. However, this time we're going to hunt in on pull, so we get the Immolation Aura in the pack. We're going to Fel Rush through here and then throw out both of our Glaives so we don't overcap them during our I-Beam window. Fel Rush again, and then we're going to I-Beam, turn 180, backflip, Essence Break, Death Sweep, meta, Death Sweep, throw out another Glaive, and then I-Beam again. From here, your main goal is to just use all your Glaives on cooldown as much as you can while throwing out Chaos Strikes and Death Sweeps and making sure you keep uptime on your Immolation Aura, your Sigil Flame, and just basically pushing all your buttons as they glow up. A very important note here is to make sure that you have momentum for the last few ticks of Immolation Aura here. These are your most powerful ticks for the Immolation Aura and do a lot of damage into your Rage Fire. Another small optimization is to try and use momentum while you have the Glaives up, and even better to pair them with the First Strike bonus that you get from things such as damaging Shravaras and stuff like that before they damage you. Outside of your meta, your Essence Break combo will be pretty standard here. You do want to throw out your Glaives first and then hit your I-Beam, turn 180, Essence Break, and then Death Sweep, followed by 2 Chaos Strikes. During Essence Break, when you're fighting more than one target, Throw Glaive will take more priority than Chaos Strike. However, you want to be in a scenario where you don't have the opportunity to cap on Throw Glaive charges while you're in that Essence Break window. So whenever you're about to hit that Essence Break window, just make sure you're as low as possible on your Throw Glaive charges. Another small optimization is using your hunt while you have the initiative. It's a very small gain, but it is a gain nonetheless. Crit is very good for us. In terms of stats, Havoc Demon Hunter is going to want 2 different stat distributions, one for Raid and one for Mythic Plus. In Raid, you're going to want to prioritize Critical Strike as your best stat overall, followed by Haste. Those will be your best 2 in most scenarios. Mastery is your 3rd best, but it is also pretty good. You're probably going to want some amount of it, and Versatility will be your worst stat in Raids. In Mythic Plus, things change. Critical Strike is still your best stat by far, followed by Mastery. In Mythic Plus, lots of our damage is Mastery-based sources, so Mastery gains a ton of value. After that is Versatility, both for survivability and for the double dipping damage it brings on Soul Rend. And finally, Haste is our worst stat in Mythic Plus. If you're finding you need to live more in high-end Mythic Plus, then you can drop out some of your Mastery for your Verse at not that big of a loss, but a large survivability gain. In terms of crafted embellishments, your best 2 options are going to be the Toxic Thorn Foot Wraps, which are a boot that reduces your stamina but also deals damage to enemies with magical thorns, as well as a leather piece with the Toxified Armored Patch embellishment on it. This embellishment will double the damage of the Thorn Foot Wraps. Now, for the piece, there are a few options. In full BIS, we want to use legs, as our leg tier piece is pretty bad. However, while you're gearing, you should generally avoid that slot and put it either on belt or wrists, as these 2 slots are the least impactful and will not hamper your gearing for tier sets. I myself have it on my belt slot, as I have a crafted belt already, but one of those 2 slots are the best. In terms of AoE embellishments, your best bet are going to be the Slimy Expulsion Boots, as well as the Toxic Patch, again on the similar places for ST. In BIS it's on the legs, but for purposes of making it easier to get your tier set, it would be on the belt or on the wrists. Now, Slimy Expulsion Boots are only mildly ahead of Toxic Thorn Wraps for AoE and D-Slice Sims, roughly 700 to 1000, so it's not that big of a loss. In reality, the biggest difference comes from the stats on them, so you definitely can use the Toxic Thorn Wraps until you have enough sparks later in the season to craft those Slimy Expulsion Boots, and it's not that big of a deal. In terms of trinkets, for single target, you're going to want the Dragonfire Bomb Dispenser, which is a trinket that drops off of the boss Zuskarn in Avarice the Shoutout Crucible. For your other trinket, Elementium Pocket Anvil, which drops off of the Amalgamation Chamber boss, is the second best option. These two trinkets are quite far ahead in terms of our single target damage output. Other comparable trinkets are the Beacon from the Beyond trinket, as well as the Clash trinket from Neltharion. In terms of dungeon trinkets for single target, there aren't really a lot. Your best bets are going to be the Loaded Dice and the Homeland Raid Horn. However, I will say these trinkets are far behind the raid ones. They are not as good. The best trinkets for single target this tier will be from the raid. In terms of AoE or Mythic Plus trinkets, you're going to want the Ominous Chromatic Essence, which drops from the Forgotten Experiments boss. You're going to want to attune this with the Emerald Dragonflight, which will give you a large crit bonus. For the second trinket, you're going to want the Beacon to the Beyond. This is an on-use trinket that drops from the last boss and does a large chunk of damage on a 2.5 minute cooldown. Other useful trinkets are going to be the Clash trinket as well. That is a good replacement for Ominous Chromatic Essence. As well, Iridius Fragment is a good option, which pairs nicely with your 3-minute burst window. In terms of other gear, you're going to want to farm for Mythic Plus. The other most important item to get are the Bile-stained Krog Tusks from Underrot. These are going to be your best weapons for single target. In terms of Mythic Plus, you don't want these at all. Any statted weapon will be better. But for a single target raid, which is most of this tier, you're going to want the Bile-stained Krog Tusks. In terms of enchantments for raid, you're going to want 2 Wafting Devotions, 1 on each hand, and an AoE Sophic Devotion is the better option. In terms of your other enchantments, here is a little list of all the best enchantments for each slot. This is courtesy of Wowhead and the Wowhead Guide Writer Shadowrek. Nothing is really changing here from last tier. There is a new belt enchantment, the Shadowed Belt Clasp, which gives you stamina. Otherwise, everything is the exact same. For files, Ice File Corrupting Rage will still be the best if the bug is fixed. At the current moment of me recording this video, which is May 5th, the bug is not fixed. Effectively, what is happening is Ice File Corrupting Rage is going to lose its effect every time you take 60% of your HP, which essentially means that this effect has 0% uptime of the actual crit buff. So while this bug is existing, the File of Elemental Chaos is very, very good. It's probably your best overall choice. If you're doing Mythic Plus and you want a little bit of Verse to survive those high keys, then File of Tepid Versatility is going to be a very good option as well, and honestly would probably be better if you need to live, as it's only roughly 0.5% behind the other file. In terms of the rest of your consumables, you want 2 Buzzing Runes for your weapon buffs, you want the Grand Banquet of the Kalawak or the Faded Fortune Cookie whenever you eat, and then you want your Inscribed Illuminated Diamond in 1 slot, and then either Critical Strike and Mastery Gems, so Sensei's Alexstrasite, the High Crit Low Mastery Gem, or the High Crit Low Haste Gem for Raid. So depending on if you need more Mastery or Haste, you end up going with the High Crit Low Mastery Gems or the High Crit Low Haste Gems. Our gems don't really matter too much as we don't use Lariat anymore. So for now, Alexstrasites are going to be your best bet. So that is going to be it for my quick guide for Havoc Demon Hunter in patch 10.1. In all seriousness, Havoc Demon Hunter will remain a fun spec to play and be very powerful in Mythic Plus. However, in Raid, I do fear our performance will be a little bit subpar. If you have any questions or things I didn't cover in this video, feel free to drop a comment or head over to the Demon Hunter Discord and drop a question there. I'm active there very often, as are tons of other people. If you want further reading on the topic, there also are guides in the Demon Hunter Discord, as well as the Wowhead and Icy Vade guides. Both of those are written by trusted members of the community, some of which who helped assist on this video. So shout out to all the people from the Demon Hunter Discord. Now I'll have more content about Havoc Demon Hunter, including a BIS guide coming out this week. So make sure you hit that sub button and stay up to date on everything Havoc Demon Hunter related and World of Warcraft related. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me a lot of time to make it, so if you did enjoy it, drop a like. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I wish you guys the best of luck for the first week of Season 2. I'll be streaming a ton of Havoc Demon Hunter content this week on my YouTube channel, so look out for that. Anyways, with that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. A big shout out and thank you to my channel members, Metarol, Grandpa Plays, Alexandra Concalves, Damian Polushkin, Ozguk Aiden, DHFG, Jack Gerard, It's Bulk, and Flapjack67. Big shout out to you guys. You guys help support me and make this content possible. If you want to support me as well and get some cool perks in the process, follow the link in the description to become a channel member. It's pretty sweet. There's some nice stuff there, and you help to support me to make more content.